What's up guys, it's DGC Garage here. Just about to start tearing down my JUNKYARD LM7 53 LS. I pulled for my square body. I have a 350 small block in there. It's starting to hurt, so I figured why not toss in a motor that'll make more power that I can pick up for $400 at my junkyard. So I'm gonna start off today by just complete disassembly. Don't know how long I'll be here taking it apart, but the plan is go boosted, so I want to go in, check the cylinders, make sure everything's kosher, all the valves are good in the head, and then just change some gaskets, so head gaskets, change the water pump, do everything I need to hopefully have it support some boost before I take it out and start ripping her. So I'm going to start off with removing my coil packs and brackets. I'll take off the fuel rail, and then I will remove the intake and then the whole accessory drive and everything. So I'll give you updates periodically, show you where bolts are and everything, but my goal here isn't to do a complete breakdown on camera, just make it go by a little faster. So I hope you enjoy. Alright, so for the valve cover bracket, there's 5 10mm bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right there. And it's same on the other side, so I'll take this off and we'll go from there. So a good little tip for you guys when you're taking apart an engine or whatever you're doing, a little work on it, is when you remove something, like for instance the coil pack bracket, I would stick the bolts back in where they came from, and that way you don't get confused, or you don't have 9 different bags of bolts laying around and get confused on where they go. So just toss them all back in the same hole, and then you have an idea of what goes on there and where they go. Alright, so the coil packs are off now, and I'm going to start working on getting off the fuel rail and the injectors. So it's 4 8mm bolts here, here, and then same on the other side, but I only have one holding it in because I got it from the junkyard, and I'm assuming somebody already robbed off these bolts. Now when you're removing them, you want to be careful because you don't want to break your stock injectors. Now I'm not going to reuse mine, but for proof of concept, you want to be very careful. You just want to gently shake the sides of it while pulling up, and it should let free. The only thing holding them in is just a little O-ring on the end of them. It's like that big, so it's good to know. Alright, so I got that fuel rail and injectors off. You can tell by the last clip that back one was fighting me a little bit, but she did come off without breaking, which is nice. So now I'm going to be taking off the intake, which is 5 bolts on each side. They are all 8mm. Now, if you are not taking off the heads and doing a full refresh like what I'm doing, I would suggest maybe blocking off these little ports, because you got gunk and grime on your engine. Obviously mine's worse than yours because I pulled this out of a junkyard, whereas if yours is in a truck, I'd assume it's a little bit nicer. But yeah, just plug up these holes so nothing falls down there and gunks up your galleries or anything. But yeah, so I'll take off the intake and check back in later. Alright, so all of the bolts are, I didn't pull them out, but they're all loose and ready to come out. Now, if you're changing the intake, I would still suggest keeping these bolts because really weird, they're like super long shoulder bolts. So just keep all your hardware when you buy your new parts from the old stuff, just to make sure that it will bolt up and you don't have to go out and buy specialty bolts. And there's also this line that goes underneath from the throttle body and it goes into the block there. I just unbolted it and then it connects over to the other side. So the back 1 and 2, I bolted that as well. It takes kind of loose. So I'm going to put the phone down and pull it off, and I'll check back in. Unfortunately, I don't have a tripod or anything to put my phone on just yet, so I'll work on that. Well, the intake is off. It came off without a fight, which was nice, unlike the injectors. So now that gives me access to this lower panel, my knock sensors, and yeah, I think I'm going to pull off the valve covers now, take a little peek at the valve train, and then I'll work on the headers and exhaust. Now I've been spraying it down with PV Blaster for the past couple days. because somebody's already snapped off the back stud or bolt on both sides. Now that's all right because I have a welder, and because they're aluminum heads, weld doesn't stick to it. So what I can do is put a washer on it, like when the headers are off, put a washer, then weld a nut or the washer to the bolt, and then a bolt or a nut to the washer, and then pull it off, and the heat should help expand it to break it loose. And if it fails, just keep doing it again. And yeah, so I'm gonna pull off the valve covers, show you what it looks like. And now I have no idea how many miles are on this motor because the wreckers pull off the battery, so you can't start a fire or something stupid. It's just some rule that they have. So the gauge cluster was electronic and I couldn't see the click. So judging by these runners and everything, how many kilometers do you think are on this motor, or miles, wherever you live? Take a guess, put it in the comments down below. Well, the recurring theme of this video is 8mm and 10mm sockets. So there's 4 bolts on the top of each valve cover. They are 8mm. So pull those off and take a peek. I got a little bored of taking apart the engine, so I figured I'd clean up the sandblast the valve cover. So I'm over here in my Varsol tank, and that's a hell of a difference. So that was pretty funny how much stuff's caked on there. Alright, so valve covers are off. So valve covers are off, and it looks pretty clean in there. It seems like this engine was somewhat taken care of, but until I take off the heads, I won't really know. So I can see the carbon buildup on the pistons. Normally, if somebody's beating the hell out of an engine, like excessive, or yeah, you can cause damage, it would be bad. But you know, running it wide open every now and then is good. It'll burn off all the carbon on top of the pistons, but everything's pretty solid. It spins over fine. There's a whole pile of compression on it, which is nice. So I'm gonna take off the exhaust now, and I think that'll be it for part 1 of this video. So I hope you find people enjoy it. Leave a like, subscribe if you want to, or not. It's all good. And if you know of any good cams that are somewhat affordable, like I was looking at the Summit ones, and they're a couple $100. I want to do push rods, rocker arms, and new trunnions and all that, but it's gonna be getting, like, I don't know, 12-13 pounds of boost through it. So see how long it lasts. If it blows up, pull another one. So for removing the exhaust, it's 10mm bolts. You got, what is that, 5 on each side, or 6, my apologies. 5 for me because the back ones are broken. But also we got the EGR system, I believe. Whenever I activated it was up here. That was 2 10mm, and then the bracket that actually holds it to the head are 15s. So you got 2 there, and I'll check back in when that's off. So the exhaust is now off on both sides. Thankfully, no more of the bolts broke, except for the back ones, which were done by somebody in the junkyard or the previous owner of the truck. So it's a shame, but it's a relatively easy fix to get them out, which I'm not too worried about it, and I can make some content out of it. But on this side of the engine, I have to pull off the EGR stuff. I believe it's EGR, correct me if I'm wrong. And then the dipstick tube, because it was fed through that middle bit and then bolted down with a tie down bolt. So it's off now. I gotta thread it back in, and then yeah. So I think I'm gonna call it for today. It's a fair amount of progress, but I also bead blasted my valve covers so they can get ready for paint. The only thing left to do today is just pull off the motor mounts, because I'm gonna need different plates to fit in my square body. So yeah. So that's all for part 1 of this build series. I think in next episode I will tackle taking off the whole drive accessories here, and then maybe take off the heads and that. I'm not sure. I might walk over everything and what it does and how it comes off more in depth, so that if one of you guys are doing it at home, you have a reference point. Well, I think that's all for today. Got a fair amount done. I'm happy with the progress. I appreciate you guys watching. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any good suggestions for performance cams, please put it in the comments. it is going to be boosted, so I got to find something with the right duration and lift and everything to accommodate for that. But yeah, so next episode we'll be taking off the accessory drive on the front and go from there. I do want to paint the block and the valve covers and all that, make it all pretty, so I might do another video of just how to properly clean and prep a block, because I don't want to take out the rotating assembly. Just bare bones rebuild, super quick. I'm going to do a home port job on the heads, maybe open them up a little bit, get some more airflow in there, but we will see. I hope you guys have a good weekend, and see you in the next episode.